Okay, so today we're going to be talking about trademark clearance. So when you're registering a trademark, it's really important to make sure that what you're looking to register doesn't already exist out there in one form or another. There's two main reasons for this. Number one is that a business always wants to have a distinct brand in the first instance. So essentially you'll want to stand out from your competitors on the shelf, as it were, when the buying public are looking to assess the options that are out there. It's those brands that really make a kind of impression and that kind of look a bit different and feel a bit different that really have an advantage in the marketplace. So that's number one, and that's more of a commercial reason. The second reason is the legal part, which is to say, when you're looking to secure a trademark, there are certain elements which in the application process you're going to want to get in place to make sure that you're not going close to anyone else's existing trademark or existing rights. And the reason for this is that this can result in legal proceedings or indeed kind of intellectual property office proceedings such as oppositions or trademark infringement kind of proceedings as well. So it's quite important to make sure that you go out of your way to search kind of what's out there, just to make sure that you've got the best possible kind of brand moving forward. So in this video guide, we're going to be going through why it's important to kind of conduct searches before you seek to register a trademark, how and where you can do this yourself with what we call preliminary searches, which is often a good thing to do when you're in that brand development stage, what issues can arise in relation to the process of kind of like looking at trademarks yourself, and then finally what the value and the benefits of a professional clearance search are and how this is for most businesses the best kind of path forward when it comes to kind of clearing a brand. So let's get started. So why search for a trademark when you're in the process of a trademark registration? Essentially, clearance searches, when done correctly, remove an element of risk from the trademark registration process. So a lot of times businesses seek to kind of register their trademarks, but they're perhaps not aware that these risks exist. Maybe you think you can put your application in, and if it's not successful, that's that. But what can actually happen are certain proceedings, whether they're trademark opposition proceedings or indeed trademark infringement proceedings, which can all of a sudden, once others are alerted that you're seeking to apply for a trademark, cause you some legal issues. So it's quite important for brands to be aware of what's out there in the first place, whether they do this themselves or indeed they kind of seek that professional clearance to have, that 100% peace of mind. In instances where a search does uncover problems, having done this before the application is made puts the kind of business owner in a position of strength where they can make the adjustments required to kind of adapt to the marketplace and maybe change tack slightly on their brand, which not only will kind of give them a more distinct brand in the marketplace as they've now uncovered competitors, but also it means that they're going to be legally more robust and less likely to kind of experience that kind of influency in the process, because most people will want to get their brand registered quite quickly so they can focus on their business goals. Finally, at Virtuoso Legal, when we receive kind of inquiries as it relates to trademark oppositions, 99 times out of 100 these are made because a clearance search hasn't been done, and then at that point we're assisting people with legal proceedings which they hadn't planned to kind of get into in the first place. So again, focusing on a quality brand that stands out in the marketplace and also avoiding kind of legal issues is the way forward, and with that you're going to want to make effort to kind of have a look at what's out there before you kind of make an application. So where can you search for trademarks yourself? Anyone looking to kind of do one of these preliminary searches can do so on the intellectual property office websites relevant to their application. So if this is in the UK, you can have a look on the UK IPO website. There's also a database available publicly on the European Union intellectual property website, and then also the World Intellectual Property Organisation website. So that's the UK IPO, the EU IPO and WIPO. And these databases allow you to essentially search the owners of trademarks, word searches around certain brands, and so on and so forth. And it will tell you kind of what's there. So, of course, as we previously mentioned, certain issues can arise if you simply rely on your own kind of judgment of the searches that you've made, perhaps on the intellectual property offices. They won't really give you an indication of what's out there that is kind of too similar to what you're seeking to register. They'll only tell you what's out there. So it really requires the expert eye to understand what constitutes, for example, similarity between trademarks, what constitutes kind of, infringement, or what would be kind of most likely to give rise to trademark opposition proceedings. However, we do highly recommend that people do take a look before they kind of reach that stage of the professional clearance search, to kind of see the professional clearance search as a formal kind of clearing and kind of, a formal kind of like understanding that this trademark is definitely good to go. And that can only really be completed by trademark professionals who have the years of experience and the specialist training to understand where the legal red lines are as it comes to, the trademarks that are already out there. The specialist software that intellectual property law firms such as ourselves use not only kind of provide an understanding of what is out there that might cause problems, but they also provide, our specialists with a kind of a risk register, essentially telling us what's likely to cause problems, who are kind of behind those trademarks, and it allows us to take a commercial view alongside you and your business to understand how that might be navigated, whether you might look to talk about coexistence, or you might look to change the brand slightly to avoid these risks. So again, that kind of look that you do yourself will provide you with a bit of information, but it's all about kind of making, finding the signal in the noise and kind of finding the wisdom in the data. And that's something which only really professionals can do. However, of course, as previously mentioned, having a look yourself cannot hurt and can only put you in a better position before you start to kind of really take strides to get that registration in. Okay, so what is a professional trademark clearance search? So a professional trademark clearance search is all about having experienced professionals who register and search for trademarks every day, have a look at your brand and what's already out there, and help you kind of understand what the risks are involved with registering your particular brand. Now, what's quite interesting about this is that the trademark registers themselves have become entirely congested, because there are simply put hundreds of thousands, if not millions of trademarks, worldwide. So it's becoming year by year harder to register kind of what people are after. So the longer this goes on, the harder it is to navigate and kind of reduce risk to absolute zero for any trademark registration. So there's always an element of negotiating kind of what's out there and navigating that path to registration. And of course, once the trademark is registered, that's fantastic, and it puts you then in the position to perhaps oppose others that maybe would look to kind of have a similar trademark to yours. So that professional clearance search is almost that rubber stamping of the brand to kind of get it registered, get it to the point where you can use it freely without kind of concern of further upset or kind of delay from other people. So really, really important to get right. Now, one thing to note as well is that a trademark clearance search, say for a UK mark in a single class, may cost roughly, say, £500. However, the cost of dealing with an opposition, if a brand hasn't been cleared and an opposition or perhaps multiple oppositions are received, could be multiples of that. So it's one of those situations where proactivity really, really beats that reactive response, which could only leave you in a position where you're spending much more time and money to simply get the brand that you've been wanting the entire time. So what are the benefits of getting a professional to clear your brand? Now again, a lot of business owners might look at the process and think, well, I kind of know what's out there. Yes, it's quite beneficial, of course, from a legal perspective to have that rubber stamp from the trademark professional who can really dig into the detail of the kind of trademark application and mitigate the risk even further. Again, a lot of business owners, they kind of always been self-starters and have always done quite a lot of things themselves, and thus kind of see this kind of thing and think, okay, why not this as well, and perhaps have the risk tolerance where they'd be happy to then maybe deal with a potential opposition. Again, we'd kind of recommend that you don't go that way, but again, a business owner's decision is their decision. However, there are additional benefits aside from obviously the legal kind of rubber stamping, as we were saying before. Essentially, the trademark clearance search can also give business owners that first kind of view of the much larger landscape around the brand that they're looking at. So oftentimes it's very difficult to get that eagle eye view of what's out there in your class or in your kind of area of a business that's kind of in and around your brand. It's not quite the same as being in the supermarket and looking at what else is on the shelf next to you, because of course nowadays, across all the different types of goods and services that people buy and sell, the marketplace is much more kind of spread out and in places that we're not quite sure of. However, the trademark register and an understanding of that at the top level will give you an absolute eagle eye view of your marketplace. And in fact, it may result in a commercial opportunity to really tweak that brand to make sure that it's one that really has an impact on what's out there. So again, it's about avoiding the risks inherent with being blindfolded during the trademark application process. That can be a bit of a roll of the dice, and you might not know what you're going to receive at the end of that in terms of maybe the brand goes through perfectly, quite unlikely usually. Maybe you're going to receive an opposition, maybe multiple oppositions, maybe it results in more serious proceedings. That's one aspect, but there's also an opportunity here to really take a look at the marketplace, understand it, understand how your brand is going to be kind of presented within there, and that this can inform your commercial decisions moving forward. So it's one of the things that we say is possibly one of the best value investments for a business when they are looking to kind of build up their brand, in terms of really ensuring that trademark as an asset within their business is maximised in terms of its value.